You wonder why Arsenal are still coming up short. It's because they are still happy to sit back at 1-0, and you think that you think that's the reason why they drew so many games last year. You compare them to Manchester City and Liverpool, they will always look to go on to get the second or the third. Even on a bad day, they can still score 2 or 3 goals. That's what Roy Keane had to say about Arsenal's game over against Manchester United. Hello, hello, guys. Welcome back to another video. This is the Football Connect. I'm your host, Sam, and we are back again with another one. So, this is a big match review. Do the preview. Sorry, we're working on that. We'll get that sorted. It's still the beginning of the season. We'll make sure that that is done. But we are going to be talking about everything that we saw in today's game over Arsenal. This is my reaction, by the way, not really what we learn about. That video will come out as we look at players individually over what they offer. So what I'm gonna be looking at, which is really clear, is talk about an Arsenal set piece because they seem like they keep costing teams or still being perfect. Why were Arsenal poor? Wait, was it them or was it United? Was it them not in the form or United actually being the best version of them in the other side? And also on the other side, we talk about the things that United need to work on to show us the best of them that we are expecting to do. Because I think I noticed a lot of things that I was complaining about over what was happening in the game. So don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to the Connect. So before I actually start talking about the game, I want to show you stats that were really interesting about this game today. Nobody expected this, or especially knowing that Mikel Arteta is somebody who likes to control a lot of things. As you can see on the graph, nobody ever predicted that that's exactly how this thing was going to look like. And also on the other side, tell me, how did Manchester United at 61% of the ball against Arsenal on 30 something? Does that mean United are going to their best, or they're moving to show what they can do better? Or does that tell us that Arsenal gave up or stopped playing football after their first goal, in which the first goal was scored in the early minutes? I think it was let me check the time of the first goal. It was scored in the first minute, I think around 13 or the beginning of the first half. So imagine you score a goal that early, then the team stop playing. That's exactly what I saw from this team called Arsenal. But there's a lot of things that we can really be proud of and really maybe notice and talk about more. Because right now, when you're looking at the stats of the team, looking at the stats of the players, it's really confusing. Why am I calling Arsenal the best while I'm looking at United in the sense that they showed something but not really their best, which is really confusing. Because when you look at it, Raya had a star game. Gabriel and Saliba, even though they were tested so many times, showed that they had one of their best. Then also Ben White and Calafiori, their backline was good. Midfield, Martin Zuberman, the Odegaard played because Odegaard was covering spaces and he was trying to progress the ball. But the problem was Declan Rice. Declan Rice is failing well to fit up with his new team. And Saka and Gokeres were literally the shadow of themselves. Gokeres may be still a question mark, but Saka a shadow of what we expect to see from the star boy, the guy who was literally running this team. Then Martinelli, yes, he was just running. On the other side, De Ligt and Eleni Euro were playing well. Luke Shaw, question of the day, according to the stats that we're seeing. Dalot, on the other hand, and Doku did not perform, but Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro were really top notch in what they were offering. Up top, Buemo and Mason Mount, their ratings are a bit questionable, but they were there. They're still rating at the end of the day, if you know what I mean. Then you look at Cunha. Cunha being the guy who was playing as the gunman, who ended up playing as that number 10 when they introduced Benjamin Sesko. That changed the game. But I'm not here to talk about this. Like I told you, we'll cover this on what we learned over the game. But let's talk about what was really interesting about it. What was the most impactful thing that we noticed from this game, in which I feel like a lot of people are not talking about, which is Arsenal literally survived this game. And the thing that people are not really understanding from this game is it's not because Arsenal were holding back after scoring the first goal. It's because Manchester United made them go back to a point that they were trapped in their own little corner that they struggled to get out of that. The pressure which was coming from that front three was amazing. So many people were asking the question, why put on Mason Mount and putting him on the number 10 over Cunha? Because that's practically the position that Cunha is supposed to be playing. But if you look at how much he was playing from that position, how much he was helping the team, I think it is a tactic that maybe Ameron is going to keep trying to use it. It's a wild one which will always give you something because say whatever you want to say about Mason Mount. He's really good when he's playing in his 3-4-3 system. He understands this like, I don't know what they can say. Playing that number 10 role, he knows what he can do. He might not even show some amazing glimpse or maybe some amazing pass, but his work ethic on what he offers and how he finds the opportunity to lead the ball to the balls and progressing the ball well. That is just something that is amazing that we keep seeing from him. Hence why maybe he was willing to put him over Rasmus Højlund. By the way, where was Rasmus Højlund? And I'm not going to get into that. But on the other side, I felt like the thing that costed Manchester United, especially in the first half, in which I felt like they should have done something. So many times I saw them running on the wings, crossing the ball, and there was no any centerpiece in the box. Nobody was in the box to receive all the crosses which were coming from the left or maybe on the right. Doku was crossing to the Arsenal players who were only in the 18 area. Um, Buemo or Dalo was crossing only to those players in the way. I felt like the way Amiron was trying to use Mounted Cunha, which is something that is going to be interesting to see how they works on that one, was a bit weird because Cunha kept on trying to interchange with Mount on that position of 10, dropping out from that top spot, that number 9 position that he was expecting him to be playing. And in doing so, it just did not offer enough because there was no longer a focal point to reach when the balls were coming. So many times we saw Nguemo trying to go do it on his own, or maybe just holding on to the ball that the output was really like, what are you doing in the game? So he might have been really good. He might have been on the ball so much because it felt like the way they were playing the game, all the games was being recycled and the movement was always leading into Buemo holding the ball in the final end. But the problem, he was playing on the winger position. Playing on the winger position, how does he get the ball back into the 18 area? He was not really showing so signs of being skillful enough to go through because you'd be surprised. A Calafiori was able to stop him from doing anything. We talked about how Luis Kelly was a better version of Calafiori last season. So many questions that you end up asking. So that's something that I feel like United need to work on, really, really look at, because I think we saw some of the best football we've ever seen from Manchester United in a while. Maybe Amiron was telling the truth that he needed time to work on something. So how do I give so much praise into a team that has lost? Because when we come to the honest truth, when we look at this into the honest glass where we are supposed to look at it, the better team lost in this game. And the better team was United, who offered everything that they had in the game, which was so amazing that they could have even done so much. So the better team lost. And how can they improve from that position to go to the position which they need to be so that they can actually keep challenging for the next season and whatever they're going to be working on? It's going to be interesting to see because I cannot wait. Defensively, I never seen Saka look like he did not even know what he was doing in the game. Doku and Luke Shaw were doing so well, which is a bit surprising because Luke Shaw's rating is a bit lower than what I expected because he literally shut Saka out of the game the whole entire game. So did Euro on Martinelli, but when we were being honest, you don't really have to do so much to shut your Martinelli off. It's easy. It's like there's an off button which you just have to click and it happens just like that. All of these things were happening and Saka was not in the game. And now you come into Gokares because you are expecting to see something from the new striker. We'll talk about Sesko as well because remember I told you there's going to be a talk of strikers as well. Gokares was literally an anomalous. Is that how you said anomalous? Sounds a bit weird. But anyway, what I'm saying is this. The guy had almost about 5 passes in the game. 4 of them were successful, I think. He offered nothing. He had a Jew that he lost. He was really a shadow of what we think he was going to be on his debut day, because of course Ekitike literally set the standard for all the strikers, new strikers who were bought in the first game of, not even in the Carabao Cup, but we are not even in the Community Shield. We're talking in the Premier League against Ben Bournemouth. He scored a goal. He set that entire thing, and yet you see the other team playing the way they did. So you ask yourself questions on what's happening and what needs to be worked on. So I don't know about that one. We're gonna have to put it on the side and see how that one is worked on. But when we come into the game here, on what we were expecting from Gyökeres, he did not offer. First of all, the link up with these three men seems like it's gonna be a problem. Um, Mikel Arteta needs to find a better way to use it, as well as, yeah, last summer, what made this last year, what made this entire strike was, even though it did not do enough, so special, was how the striker could drop off and link up with the team in coming up in attack. Kai Havertz is really good at that. Something that we have noticed on the other side, Gyökeres, or Sesko is really good at. Maybe that's why Mikel Arteta wanted go Sesko over Gyökeres. Gyökeres is a gunman guy. He expects the ball to come to him. But now this is limiting Saka, because Saka, whenever he has Odegaard on the other side doing that link up, Martinelli and Kai Havertz, they are in a certain position to help out the player. It's so many times we could see Kai Havertz going into Saka position to help out, to maybe create a shadow player so that Saka is able to pass through and score those amazing goals that we've been happy with. That's not Gokure's game. Gokure's goes where the ball is whenever he's run with the ball, but 90% of the time he's waiting for the ball to come in the 18 area. Kind of like Haaland type of a player. He's the traditional number 9. That's what I'm trying to say to you people. A traditional number 9. I know people keep saying that on the Kitika don't believe. He is him. So the question is this: how do you get one of your best young players in Saka in the game to fit up with Gyökeres? Because if that does not work out and there seems really less or close to none link up play between the three players, it's going to be interesting what happens up forward. And because on that situation, on the other side, you have a Declan Rice who has been shining, one of the best shining armor, now playing with a Martin Zuberman. Zubermendi is one of the best players who can control, who can progress the ball, who can do what in the position he plays in. But the problem that we are having, Zubermendi wants to control that position alone. What did uh, Declan Rice did good, and what we praise him the most about was how so many times he was coming in and the linking up with the Thomas Partey to make him comfortable either defensively or offensively. Now the problem is this: you have a Zuberman who's comfortable to play this, and the one thing about him, he wants to progress the ball to go forward. Declan Rice did not always go forward. He went on the purposes when it allows him to go so at that point so that he can finish up the ball. Now with the type of a player in Zuberman, he's expected to be moving on. And the thing that I noticed today that people are not talking about is I felt like Declan Rice struggled with positioning. He did not know exactly how to position himself to be functional in the team. Wow, that's gonna be interesting if you really look at it in the long end, because if Declan Rice is not functional in the midfield of him, Martin Odegaard, and Zubimendi, what does that mean? What will happen? Maybe I'm just reaching here. Maybe I'm going too far looking at the tactics and what I was noticing in the game. But what I'm saying is this: Declan Rice seems like he's struggling to have that link up between Zubimendi, of course, and Odegaard. It's gonna be always there because they played together before. But now they're trying to add in a Declan Rice guy that we were celebrating, one of the best midfielders just last season. And if Declan Rice does not get into the form and into the thing of the game, he struggles to go forward even defensively, and he struggles to offer something going forward. So now they raise a question on that. What will happen? How will Mikel Arteta sort that out? So many things that I've just really labeled in this game, in this video. I'm gonna go back into more in depth on what we learned, where I go individual on the player. I think that's gonna be a long one because it's a big match review on what we learned. So be really ready for that one. It's gonna be exciting. I'm telling you, you're gonna love it, and you're gonna have to tell me what your thoughts are. But yes, the game people finished. Arsenal 1, Manchester United 0, and the best team lost on the day. Thank you very much for watching. I've been your host, Sam, and I did not even talk about the defense and the goalkeeper of United. Will be covered on what we led. Thank you very much for watching. I've been your host, Sam, and I'll see you on another one. Like that video and subscribe to Connect. We're out. Peace out.